On May the 25th, 2003, an unregistered Boeing 727 sat idle on the tarmac of Quatro de Fevereiro Airport in Luanda, Angola, on the west central coast of Africa. But as the sun began to set, the aircraft suddenly powered up, taxied towards the runway without any clearance, and took off, vanishing into the African sky with no transponder signal, no communication, and no trace. Neither the plane nor the two men believed to be on board were ever seen again. Was it a brazen theft, a covert operation, or something far more sinister? In this episode of Seeking Answers, we unravel one of modern aviation's most baffling mysteries: the disappearance of flight N844AA. This particular aircraft had been built in 1975 and was used by American Airlines for 25 years before being passed over to its new owner, Aerospace Sales and Leasing. By March 2002, the plane was grounded at the Angolan airport, where it sat idle for over a year, accruing over $4 million in unpaid airport fees. The aircraft was in the process of being converted to be used by Nigerian's IRS Airlines, with the American FBI describing it as, quote, unpainted silver in colour with a stripe of blue, white and red. The aircraft was formerly in the air fleet of a major airline, but all of the passenger seats have been removed. It is outfitted to carry diesel fuel, end quote. May the 25th, 2003, just before sunset, around 7 p.m. The Boeing 727 mysteriously began to move towards the runway without any clearance. Air traffic controllers attempted to make contact, but they received no response, and the craft's transponder was soon switched off. The lights weren't turned on, but the unauthorized plane still took off into the night sky. The pilot and aircraft were both never seen or heard from again. While some airport officials claim to have only seen one person on board the plane, others claim to have seen two take control. Though not confirmed, it's believed that these men were pilot and American flight engineer Ben C. Padilla and Congolese-French mechanic John Mutantu, with the former taking control of the plane. Both men had been working alongside Angolan mechanics to get the craft ready for flight. Padilla was a pilot, but he only had a private license and was not certified to fly a plane of this size. In fact, a Boeing 727 usually requires 3 crew members to operate it, though some believe that others may have been on board the plane as well, waiting to help the duo. The craft contained 53,000 litres of fuel, which would have allowed them to travel around 1,500 miles or 2,400 kilometres, and it contained no signs of having a damaged engine. In July 2003, a possible sighting was reported in Conakry, Guinea, but this was dismissed by the US State Department as not being the correct plane. With the 9/11 attacks still being fresh in people's minds, the FBI and CIA quickly entered the search efforts, but found nothing in the surrounding ocean. They searched multiple adjacent countries, including Sri Lanka, to no avail, though it was considered unlikely that they would have risked landing at a major airport, as the plane would have been extremely easy to identify. Our first theory came from Padilla's own sister, Benita Padilla Kirkland, who believed that he crashed somewhere in Africa or was being held against his will. Aerospace Sales and Leasing President Maury Joseph, who had examined the very same plane 2 weeks prior, agreed with this theory. The fact that there were no sightings of a mysterious Boeing 727 in or above Africa following this event suggests that unfortunately it most likely perished one way or another. But this also poses a second part of this case. Not only do we not know where they went, but why they stole the plane in the first place. Maury Joseph himself had a history of accounting fraud, so one theory is that this whole thing was caught in the middle of a business feud or an insurance scam. The plane had been sitting at the airport for 14 months completely unused, and this plan could have been orchestrated to collect the insurance. Another theory is that the aircraft was stolen to be used to transport contraband such as drugs or weapons across continents, which would explain the lack of communication during the takeoff. Another possibility is that the plane was stolen to then be sold on the black market. This plane was old but was extremely well maintained, and there was a huge global demand for aircraft parts or even the plane as a whole. It's also been theorized that the plane was hijacked in an attempt to use it in a terrorist attack, despite none taking place in the aftermath. Once the CIA and FBI were approached for a comment on this theory, they both refused to comment. Discussing the theory was retired US Marine General and Commander of the US Forces Mastin Robeson. Quote, "It was never clear whether it was stolen with the intent to make it available to unsavory characters, or whether it was a deliberate concerted terrorist attempt. There was speculation of all three." End quote. However, Padilla's brother Joe has dismissed all of these theories. Quote, "I know my brother. He's not gonna do nothing crooked. I know that for a fact." End quote. The most widely accepted theory is that it crashed into the ocean, and considering its depth in the area, it's no surprise that the wreckage still has yet to be discovered. To this day, the disappearance of the Angola 727 remains one of the most perplexing and chilling aviation mysteries of the 21st century. No radar trail, no distress signal, no confirmed sightings, just a massive commercial aircraft and two men vanishing without a trace. Despite investigations by the FBI, the CIA and international aviation authorities, no credible explanation has ever surfaced. Was it stolen for criminal purposes, dismantled in secret, or did it crash in a remote, unsearched location? Until wreckage is found or new evidence comes to light, the fate of N844AA remains lost to the clouds, but one thing is certain. Airplanes don't just disappear without the world seeking answers.